light-based builds suck. At least in every other FromSoft game, they somehow managed to make it worse than the last installment. FromSoft has a really bad track record in making all of the Faith spells really slow, laggy, and not do a whole lot of damage. So would you believe me if I told you that the newest Souls-like Lords of the Fallen made Radiance builds completely broken? Cool cinematic aside, this is my Light Harbinger that I made in Lords of the Fallen. For those of you who have been living under a rock, or have had midterms all this week in college, I understand. It's the newest Souls-like that runs on the Roblox game engine, so it is janky at times, but overall I would say it's been pretty fun. I've been having a lot of enjoyment with it. So when I saw how overtuned these Radiant spells were, I was taken aback, completely shocked. I was shook. For those of you who are coming from Elden Ring and want to understand, Radiance is Elden Ring's Faith equivalent stat. So it mainly revolves around healing spells and damaging spells of light. But what makes Radiance so broken compared to Faith is that both of your weapons can be buffed with holy damage at the same time with your spellcast, and holy damage functions like bleed in Elden Ring. For example, when you're attacking an enemy, it's going to build up a meter, and when that meter gets to full, that enemy is going to be taking a tunk of damage. Yep. Now this may not seem like much of an issue, right? But when you take into account that you can buff weapons that already have innate holy buildup in them with more holy damage, that's when it kind of gets ridiculous. You can imagine Rivers of Blood in its prime. You have access to that, but on 2 weapons. It's ridiculous. But it gets even better. After that initial burst damage, they'll be taking more damage from holy weapons after that. So if both your weapons are already buffed and they just got struck by lightning, which happens extremely often, you will personally be giving them an invitation to the other side. But there's one weapon that's probably the best weapon in the game right now, being Pieda's sword. The person who made this probably played Elden Ring, saw how bad holy damage was in that game, and vowed to never make it that terrible again. The range, ridiculous. Damage is insane for a short sword, and it can be buffed with more holy damage, and you're doing smite stacks on top of that, and after they get smited you're going to be doing even more damage and smiting them again. The DPS is absurd both online and offline. For example, with 2 Pieda's swords that are both buffed with holy, you can reliably smite someone every 2 light attacks. 1 light attack, 2nd light attack, they get smited, and now they're taking more damage, and then they're going to get smited again on the 4th chain. You can just keep spamming R1, it's very low stamina cost. I would say the best way they can go about fixing this, because honestly this is extremely overtuned, I feel like they just need to half the damage and half the smite buildup, because in its current state it's just overbearing, and with 2 of them, you're not winning the match. I've also heard people say that this sword completely trivializes the PvE, like all of it, especially because you can get this within the first hour of the game. So if you want to go the journalist's route and play the easiest version of the game, you're going to want to go with light, because light builds in this game are just on something else. Like, they must have gotten light from the creator himself. But if you thought this was it, if you thought this was honestly the worst Radiance got, just look at this. I genuinely think this is the most broken spell I've seen in any game ever. Because taking a look at the most broken spells in FromSoft's history, the closest thing that comes to mind is Darkbead from Dark Souls 1. But the fact that you don't even have to be close to the enemy and your spell is gonna hit them through walls, physical collision? Yeah. The spell has 2 attacks, being a close range ground slam, but the one that is the most egregious is the laser beam when they're far away from you. Plus the best part is, this spell only costs 30 Radiance, and again, you get this from the first hour of the game. They have a class that you can start with 18 Radiance, so you only need to level up 12 times to use Pieda's sniper rifle, because that's what this should be called. Maybe the only downside to this is that the spell can hit you as well, so if you're not careful, you can also die just because of how broken it is. Light is so powerful that you can even damage yourself with misproper use of it. So if you take away anything from this, if you want to have a very easy time with anything in life, just embrace your light.